Hey, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy D&D Prep. This is a weekly show shot 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Times on Twitch, in which I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday D&D game. In this case, we are at the tail end of a homebrew Eberron game called Eberron the Second Mourning. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. If you want to help support shows like this and the website and all of the other costs that it takes to keep various aspects of Sly Flourish going, you can do so by going to patreon.com/SlyFlourish and signing up to be a patron. Patrons get exclusive access to all kinds of materials like uncovered secrets, adventure generators, a exclusive adventure, access to Eberron or access to Notion notebooks that I don't talk about on this show, and all kinds of other stuff. So there's a lot of benefits to being a patron. There is only one pledge right now. It's a $2 pledge, and it helps keep everything going. The patrons are helping with all different kinds of things. The Sly Flourish newsletter is because of them, right? There's a whole newsletter going out to thousands of people, and it's I can afford that because the patrons of Sly Flourish are helping to fund it. So thank you all. If you are a patron, I appreciate it. So yes, we are probably within 3 sessions of the end of my Eberron campaign. The interesting thing is that my Wednesday, I've been running the same campaign for 2 groups, my Wednesday group and my Sunday group. And my Wednesday group finished it. We had their final session on this past Wednesday, and they have, I'm doing session 0 of Rime of the Frost Maiden for them. I'll be doing session 0 for Rime of the Frost Maiden for my Sunday group too, but it's probably going to be in about 3 weeks to a month. And yeah, so at the beginning of that session, we're actually going to do the, hey, 1 year later, 1 year after the ending of the events, where are your characters now? And I gave them a week to think about like what happened with their characters after they managed to defeat the weapon and thwart the daughters of Sorakel, and they kidnapped, or they didn't kidnap, they arrested Leto Skull and brought him to justice. So really fun stuff, right? Really, really cool game. So my other group, the Sunday group, the game we're talking about today, are in a totally different spot. So in short, the characters are chasing a villain, an Oni named Leto Skull, who is allied with the daughters of Sorakel, the leaders of the monstrous nation of Droam. They are trying to build another weapon of mourning, the weapon that caused the mourning and created the Mournland. The daughters of Sorakel and along with Leto Skull are trying to build a new weapon. The characters are trying to stop it. That's the plot. They have been chasing Leto Skull all the way across Corvair, from spending a lot of time in Sharn and going beneath in the ruins of the ruins of Old Sharn, then airships across the land, through a couple of other cities, and finally into the Mournland, where they went through destroyed cities. I hope Leto remembers the tooth. Remember the tooth. That would have been pretty funny. He goes. So they were going through the Mournland. They rode on a psychotic, sentient, warforged train called Karshak. They helped fix Karshak by finding Karshak's mate, Mycenta, and joining the two into a new warforged entity known as Valis. And then via Valis, they got to the Glass Plateau, navigated the way across the Glass Plateau to the ruined city of Making, where the weapon of the mourning was built originally and where the new weapon of mourning is being built. They went around the city through a derelict crashed airship, and then finally made their way onto the floating earth moat of the ziggurat of the daughters of Sorakel. They could not get in the center of the city is a place called Claw Rift, where the weapon is being made, but it was surrounded by a prismatic sphere. So the characters had to get to the ziggurat to find the key to get through the gateway, so to get through the prismatic sphere to get into Claw Rift. It turns out that in the throne room of the ziggurat of the daughters of Sorakel is a portal that goes right into Claw Rift. So all they have to do is get past one of the 3 daughters, Sora Tazara, get past Sora Tazara and her guardians, and then they can get to the gateway and get into Claw Rift. So the way I see the final sessions going are defeat Sora Terrasa. Sorry, get the names wrong. Defeat Sora Terrasa, go into Claw Rift, navigate Claw Rift, face the other 2 daughters and Leto Skull, and prevent the next weapon. And when they do all of that, they will be done. So I think it's about 3 sessions. I would like it to be about 3 sessions left. Today is Claw Rift part, the Sora Terrasa plus Claw Rift part 1. Next one is Claw Rift Part 2, up to the final battle. Third session is final battle and epilogue, right? And I think that is a good outline for the remainder of the session. So as we are using Notion to do our campaign building. Somebody mentioned that they were looking at the Notion, they were looking at my Eberron Notion campaign guide and went, oh, they said, I went straight to the database. And they're like, you go into the database, right? And you're like, oh, the database. Oh my God, look at all this stuff in the database. Like it just keeps going and going and going. Like, you know, all these places, all these locations, all these people, you know, all this stuff. This just looks like locations, I think. Is it filtered by locations? Yeah, it's filtered by location. So we can, how do you turn a filter off? Remove that filter, right? And now you got all the people, places, things, all the items. This database is big. I don't know how many records are in here. I guess I could view it by record. Let's just for fun. Let's go to record table view. 125 objects in my Eberron database, whether locations, NPCs, villains, whatever. So yeah, big database of stuff, right? That's a big campaign. So it's kind of cool to have this like Notion notebook of an entire campaign from pretty much from beginning to end. It's not quite from beginning to end, but it's pretty great to have it this way. And you can export it. I think just for fun, I'll export it right now. Export, include subpages. We'll do it to HTML and we'll export. We'll let that go. So yes, if you want to know more about Notion, those of you who are in the chat can type !Notion, and it gives you links to learn about how I'm using Notion for D&D, including the video and including the article that I wrote. If anybody during this time asks about it, feel free to type !Notion to answer their question about Notion, because that's where you want to learn more. I think exporting this was a mistake. So yeah, the characters navigated their way. If you recall, they started off in a bathroom. They managed to make their way through the ziggurat. It was pretty cool. They saw there was a lot of guards in the ziggurat and stuff like that. And they made their way upstairs. They actually met ambassadors of the Lords of Dust were up there, Rakshasa. They avoided fighting the Rakshasa, who said, this is out of hand, and they teleported away. So we don't want any of this stuff. And they teleported away. And I guess I can close this window. I don't have to sit here and wait. It'll just tell me when it's done. It'll email me and say you're done. But it'd be nice to have like a single HTML zip file that has like all of my campaign and it's all navigatable, and I can make that locally. So that's cool. So we're going to start off by creating a new session planning template, as we always do. Man, Notion is slow today. This is what you get when you have a web-based product. There it is. So 17 January 2021, Sunday, Eberron. As we go through the steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. Step 1 is review the characters. Let's take a look at the characters. We got our Sunday characters. Go to gallery mode. We have Zarentir Delander, a dragon-marked member of House Delander. He is a Hey, we're back. Dragon Mark, sorry, my microphone shorts out. Sometimes static, I think, or something like that. So we have a Dragon Marked Storm Cleric, Storm Sorcerer, Storm Dragon Mark guy who likes storms and likes throwing lightning bolts and empowering them. I don't know that there's any major hooks in the rest of this campaign that will really tie in heavily with Zarentir. We have Saber. Saber is a monk of the four winds, a shifter monk of the four winds. Saber has a rival, Scar. So I want to make sure that at some point they fight the mercenary evil monk of at some point in this they're going to face Scar. A evil mercenary monk who had tried to take down the Four Winds Monastery. That'll be a fun character hook. You know, it's a fun way to take something that a player mentioned during downtime stuff and bring it into the game. Shift. Shift is the first Warforged ever built, or one of the first Warforged ever built. So she still has something, and so you can leave loose ends. One nice thing about doing like a 1 year later montage is you can leave loose ends, and the players will pick it up if they want to do something with it. So I don't know that the I don't know. I guess the secret, if we want to put in a secret for this, we have some secrets here. So Scar. One nice thing about reviewing the characters is reviewing the characters leads to secrets, which is a great little way to go. Has been hired by the daughters. And is in Claw Rift. Lady still hopes Shift will take the weapon and come back to the Emerald Claw. Probably not going to happen, but it's still a fun thing to a fun character hook to tug on. Going back to characters. We have Shane Husk. Shane Husk, a notable author. Is there any kind of fun Shane Husky kind of thing we could do in here? Nothing comes to mind. So we definitely have some Lack stuff. So Shane Husk is holding Lack. Lack is the sentient crystal ball, one known as the emissaries. So Lack wants the characters to open a portal to Dalcor and throw him back in. The other emissaries want the portal made permanent to reconnect Dalcor with Eberron. That's right, 2 secrets. Let's see. Lady or Sora Terasa holds Thrine. Is that right? No. Let's see. We got Emissaries of Dreaming Dark. So the Emissaries of the Dreaming Dark are the 7 magical orbs. Vorn is held by. So go back here. Holds Vorn. So what does that do? It'd be kind of cool to give Vorn a power. You know, it's kind of cool to show what like each of the emissaries, each of these magical crystal balls, has like a power. So like, what would the thing is, the character, I don't know, the characters are already on the edge. So she's a seer. Vorn, I think it could be like so Sora Terraza maybe can pull it. Vorn shows people their worst feared outcomes. Yes, all of these were stolen. So much of my Eberron campaign was stolen from the Dark Tower. because I was reading I read the entire Dark Tower series over 2019. It took me a year to read all 8 books, and almost to the day I was listening to them on Audible. And while I was listening, I was doing this campaign. So a lot of stuff from here. Karshak, the sentient train, is taken right from Blaine, and the emissaries are from the Merlin's Rainbow from the Dark Tower series. I'm still not done looking at the characters yet. So that's Shane Husk. Banner is a Warforged follower of the Becoming God. And I don't know if there's any major hooks there too. He's been kind of, so I guess, so Banner and what's her name? Damn it. I have another Warforged. I got on my NPCs because I made a really cool NPC for this. Broadsword. Fought together in the last war. Broadsword is the leader of the Lord of Blades' agents in making, also attempting to get the weapon. Banner is a paladin, but it wouldn't surprise me if Banner had some cleric in him. Banner, the player, loves to multi-class, and I can't keep track. And then we have Arwen Chi Sizu. Is there any hook here? It'd be kind of cool if one of the orbs showed her father. I just spilled coffee all over myself. It'd be kind of cool if she saw something with her father, right? Because she destroyed her father's chip, her father's memory chip that was inside of a docent, and they used it for to create what's her name? What's their name? Valis. So strong start. Sora Terasa pulls out Vorn. And the characters see their worst memories. That could be kind of fun. So scenes: fighting Sora Terasa, entering Claw Rift. We have to figure out where they're going to enter Claw Rift. Getting to the lower level, facing the daughter, Leto and the daughters. And then Aftermath. And that is the whole campaign. That's the rest of the campaign in 5 bullets. Dark Abyss Keeper says, could Vorn show people visions of a certain action leading to their death? Then if the character goes and does that thing, they suffer a consequence because of the vision, whether it be a disadvantage and some sort of damage. Could be cool. My thought is that like they'll see like their worst outcome, what either something that they did and how they, like a dark truth, right? Like, and that might sort of paralyze them and they have to get past this thing. So I don't know. It's a little hard to, I mean, it could be fun to kind of show things that they did. So like we could, if we wanted to look at like what the memories are, Banner, murdered civilians during the last war with broadsword. We could have Saber breaks the 4 winds. Right, Saber leads the revolt against the the Four Winds Monastery, along with, Saber and Scar. To destroy the Four Winds Monastery. Shift gives the weapon to the daughter, to Lady Omaro, and stands side by side with Crash, her brother. Chi destroyed her father's soul. And let's see, Zarantir is told he can never fly again and becomes Mrs. Robinson's valet. And who's last? Shane Husk gets writer's block. I think those are good. Those are sort of fun, dark sides. Like he sits down to write his actions. And he's like, I can't write anymore. I don't know what it is, right? And his other book, like, probably publishers saying like, hey, you're in debt. We need the money back on your advance. Sales have tanked on your original books. And when are you going to be done? Right. So, yeah. So I think those would be fun. All right. So I know what scenes are going to occur. So what secrets and clues do we have? The Lord of Blades plans to infiltrate Claw Rift using a huge construct worm. Big purple worm. He's at a desk surrounded by past. I'll tell you, there's nothing worse though than having to ask for your than when your agent asks for your advance back, right? You got a big advance on your book and you're not publishing it, and they're like, "Yeah, that money, we want that back, man." And by the way, none of the royalties in your other book are going anywhere either. And you like, I can't write, So yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 3 more secrets include. Lord of Blades plans to infiltrate Claw Rift. Lido, so Cavella is here too. With her brother. Neither her nor Lido wants to follow the will of the daughters. Something is controlling Lido. Any other big secrets? Any other kind of things? Claw Rift is a huge shattered gateway to many worlds controlled from 4 altars using pages from the Tome of Kol Sur. A massive construct holds a kyber crystal within the beam of the gateway, which in turn funnels energy into a glass canister that holds a living wish. So those are good on secrets. Nice thing again is like I'm weeks ahead on this one, so I kind of know, following the path that my other group did, I kind of know what's going on there. I have decided that this weapon of mourning is very likely a living wish, and if the living wish gets free, on its own, if it's not constructed, it manifests into a thing known as entropy. Entropy, if you recall, is Yorgrol, Lord of the Slods, available in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and is really, really powerful. 325 hit points, AC 20. That sounds bad. Yes. 3 attacks, 2 with a scythe and 1 with entropic touch. The scythe, 18 slashing damage plus 19 necrotic damage. Any creature reduced to 0 hit points dies with its body and everything except turn into a cloud of ash, only recovered by a wish spell. Don't want to be dropped to 0 by this guy. Entropic touch. Is that the other one? Entropic touch, 14 to hit, 16 necrotic damage. Target must succeed in DC 22 or gain a level of exhaustion. So slowly, like, you take necrotic. 16 is not a lot of damage. So it can do lots of things, and it makes an attack with its scythe as a legendary action. It does 5 of these scythe attacks for, like, what is it? 19 and 18 is 37 points. 5 times 37. You know, so the point is you can't fight this thing and beat it at level 11. And you could very easily start getting disintegrated. So if the ritual goes bad, this thing's going to come out and start scything things. And as it hits them and kills them, they'll just turn to ash and disappear. And they're like, oh my God. You don't lose your gear with this, anything carrying except magic items. So your magic items still survive. So if they go bad, Yorgrol, the Lord of Entropy, and we're just going to call it Entropy, right? This being of entropy from another world is going to step inside. It's sort of the manifested angry living wish, and it just destroys, right? Its wish is destruction. It just starts hitting stuff with a scythe, and the scythe just goes boosh, right? Really cool. So we like that. We're going to put that. I don't need to put in this episode. It's not going to happen this session. Fantastic locations. We have the Earth Moat of the Daughters. We have Claw Rift. And those are the locations. We're good there. NPCs. We have Scar. We have Sora Terraza. We have Sora Ketra. And we have Sora Mania. We have Cavella. We have Broadsword. So we've got a lot. I think we've got some other NPCs too. I think the Caretaker. I don't remember where the Caretaker was going to be. We were going to do the Caretaker. Oh, Caretaker's in the Ziggurat, right? I thought that was pretty cool. Raise. Raze is a goblin artificer who is part of, knows about the construction. They're wandering around in Claw Rift. So these are all the NPCs that are potentially wandering around Claw Rift or the areas. Deadly Encounter benchmark is 33 because I have 6 players. It's either on the assumption we'll do it. If it's 5, it's 23. What is it? So 5 times 11 is 55. Half of 55 is 27. So the Deadly Encounter benchmark is 27/33. That means I can have monsters up to a total challenge rating of 33 if I add all the challenge ratings of monsters together. The monsters, I think I can steal this. I'm going to save ourselves some time and steal the monsters from last week's session. So we go to old sessions because I already did all these things. And it's the same guys. I guess I didn't link to them. Let me see if I link to them in another one. Here we go. We're going to grab all these dudes and put them in here. And I think I've got, let's see if I go back here. More monsters, yeah. Whoops. I'm pasting them all in, but let's see. So I don't need that. I know we have Medusa. I think we have Lido Skull. I already have, so we put that down here. Cursor. So we can get rid of this one. Soraketra is the abjurer. So I can get rid of that one. We have Cyclopes. We have Medusa Mage is already on the list. We have War Trolls already on the list. We have Mania's Fist Ogres. Those are probably pretty good. The funny thing is they're all like CR6 when it comes down to it. Yeah. So this is like all the monsters I need for the whole rest of the campaign, right? Kind of handy to have. Treasure. I don't. We should take a look. So let's see. I can now get rid of the Wednesday one. Actually, I can get rid of that in the template because let's go back and do that. So we go back to Eberron, and this is how you edit your template, which is important when you're customizing Notion. You go to Configure Template, and you go down to the Template block, and you open the Template block. And in here, you can make modifications. And this is because my other group is done. So I don't need them anymore. Makes me sad. And now that is saved to the template. Now when I generate a new template, that also means I can go, I think that's already linked. So, yeah. So now the template's done. So now when I click the template for next week, I won't have to do that again. So what were we going to do? We were going to look at treasure. It's always worth seeing, like, is there anything that, oh, well, so there's some treasure, and some people are going to love this. So there's a Cloak of Flying. There is a Staff of Power. There is a Ring of Mind Shielding. An Ion Stone of Absorption. These are all the things that the daughters and Leto are carrying. There is, the Maul. Sora Mania's Maul is the Hammer of Mabar. It's a hammer that can banish someone to Mabar. It doesn't scream when she swings it, but when you hit it, you will scream because you are then teleported to you are then banished to Mabar from her hammer. She's really nasty. I love the daughters. That's an important secret. The daughters are not really in making. They sent simulacrums. Snark Knight's like, Jesus. I grabbed some cool art. I think we looked at the art last week, and we'll see again as the pop quiz on if you can tell me where this art came from. So this is Sora Terraza. Oh yeah, she has a robe of eyes, so that's a big piece of treasure. Whoops. Isn't that a cool piece of art? I love that art. That is Sora Mania with her maul. And then we have and then we have Soraketra. And that's Soraketra's picture. And she has wings of flying. So that's plenty of treasure. Boy, the loot is heavy, and it's not much left to go. So I'm not too worried about it. I don't think we have to worry about artifacts. I may throw some artifacts from Archon and the Ancients if I get bored, but I think it's pretty solid. So let's take a look at. Okay, so the characters are going to go to the Daughter's Earth mode. They are currently fighting, and I can show you where all this is at. We'll go to the map. They're on the 3rd floor. It was really fun for them to kind of find their way to get up to the 3rd floor. So great big map. One of those giant Dyson maps. So they went up these stairs and whoa. Wow. It's so big you can't tell where the zoom goes. So they are in here. And that is all set. I can't remember I think it was in Discord. Somebody mentioned I was lamenting not having a good tool to label maps. And I found so somebody linked to one called Zoho Annotator. Zoho Annotator. And it is screen capture software for Chrome. I will paste this. You need Chrome, but you can add it as a plugin to Chrome. And I have it as a plugin. And what you can do with that is, where did my map go? If I want to annotate this map, so let's, oh no. Oh, what did I do? Oh, gods, I don't even know where I am. Reset. So if I want to annotate this map, right? I can click the Zoho Annotator thing and say, I want to annotate the visible area of the page. And it brings it up into a window here. And I can just click text and I can say, what's this place? Floating pool. And we use black text because what the hell's up with the violet text? And I can then move this right there. It already has like the outlining. I don't know if there's a way to center it. I don't see a way to center it, which is a bummer. Yeah, so you can see where I put a nice outline around it. You can change your size. So if you want kind of a bigger size, you can do that. You could have like, do another one. You click the thing and bang, armory. So it's a real quick way to annotate a map. And so you can grab a Dyson map and you can throw your annotations on here. You could have, what else would this be? Let's see, Mage Quarter. Whatever you want to do. I'm just making stuff up now. But the nice thing is like you can read it. And again, it's just for you, right? You're just doing it for yourself. You're not doing it to publish in a book. So ugly is fine. When you click done, you can then download it. I can just stick it right. And now I've got a ping. Right? There's my ping with my label on it. So yeah, the Zoho Annotator is a really fast way. Remember, I don't know if anybody who was around last week saw me monkeying around with other annotation software, and it all sucked. This one works well, right? It's not pretty, but it gets labels on a map, which is what I want, and you can just take this if I wanted to, and I can throw it right into, let's pretend I wanted to add it. I can do, I think I can just hit paste, right? Yeah, there it goes. And there it is, right? Ding, done. But I don't need it because I already did that. So that is a good, fast way to annotate a Dyson map, which I think is a really, really cool. I would love Notion to have a way to annotate images. Like I wish you could do any draw a label on an image. It would be so handy, right? But it's probably a pain in the ass to do. So I can understand why it's not there. So, yeah, so let's talk. Okay, so we're not doing the Earth mode because they're in that final room in the Earth mode. They're in here. They're fighting a bunch of dudes. That's already set. So I don't, I had all these levels for the Earth mode, but I don't need them anymore because they already went there. Backlinks. We've got a 17. Nice, that does them in order. Claw Rift, on the other hand, they're just getting into. So I have like a cool art for what Claw Rift looks like. Claw Rift is, and I already annotated this one because I did for my other group. Claw Rift is 3 levels, an upper level, and there are 3 levels that are going deeper. So there's a surface level, there's the next level down, which is like 100 feet down, and then another one, which is another couple hundred feet down. So it's a very deep 500 foot, like imagine almost like a funnel. And the inspiration for this is Chernobyl, right? This is the main reactor below at Chernobyl. And that's what happened is they were making the weapon. They had an ancient gateway. They were pouring energy out of the gateway. The gateway exploded, and now raw planar energy is pouring into the air, and it's very dangerous, and it'll tear you up. And yet now other group is trying to come in and essentially use the energy from this to make another weapon. So top level we have, let's take a look. So top level, we need where they show up. So I think they're going to show up where it says gateway, right? That they will be portaling into here. Midnight in Chernobyl is terrifyingly audible, if I remember. Interesting. A terrifying audible. Interesting. Yeah, I watched the TV series and it was freaky. So they'll start at this gateway, and then they can start making their way around. There's the overlooks where they can actually see Claw Rift. There's essentially, I tried to JQuay up these dungeons, so they have multiple paths that can lead down. There's decrepit elevators. There's main elevators that were used, and then there's the deep shaft, which is another sort of broken elevator. So there's probably 3 different ways to get there. It's filled with Droam on the upper side. Like a lot of trolls and ogres are hanging around here. There's like the main entry points that, these stairs here that kind of look out over the prismatic wall, which is separating them. So there's really, I guess, like a couple ways down. I mean, you could try to go down this pit, the central pit, but you get shredded by the power. This center area here, that's where energy is roaring out of it. So they moved the thing down through this decrepit elevator before. But they probably had it crawl right down. The construct crawled right down, but then the rest of them took the elevator down. But the party could potentially go down through this deep shaft. So that's level 1, mostly filled with Droam, guard barracks, which are like ogres and trolls. There's probably one of the Medusa mages wandering around here too. So we'll see. Then level 2, the further down it goes, the more ruined it is too. So this is level 2, 100 meter down or 100 feet down. So this is the deep shaft, kind of leads out to this overlook here. There's a bunch of places down here that no one's actually discovered, and they're 10 years old and sealed off. Then there's the laboratories where they were running it, and another, the decrepit elevator goes here and then makes its way around to another ruined lift. So you can't just drop down the decrepit elevator and go straight down. There's all these areas. Crumbling bridge. There's Droam sentinels, and this lift is the main lift that they use to go all the way down below. So again, you sort of have multiple paths, right? Like there's multiple ways down. And some of them are old and broken, and then some of them are new or not new, but are still functioning. And that's the ones that the Droam used. And then again, like if you come out here, you're on this narrow walkway and you just see the energy pouring out of the Claw Rift in this center area. So that's level 2. And then level 3 is the main floor. There are decrepit portals that are still open and still operating. These are like the reactors that are still kind of working, but not really. So there's the main lift kind of down here. I guess, yeah, main lift kind of drops down here. And then the actual Claw Rift is here, right? And I don't know which way the characters will come from. We'll have to figure that out. But this is where the final battle takes place. This is the altar. The altar of worlds are all around here. Claw Rift is in the center, it's pouring out. This is where it all goes. And then, then there's other sort of places back here where weird stuff is going on. A gateway to Dolura, a gateway to Mabar, Artificer's Shrine. So other things to kind of explore down here. But generally speaking, they're going to go in the main room and get the big fight. Argent Jagger says, what do you use for dungeon building? I steal Dyson maps. And I recommend, as a lazy dungeon master, go steal Dyson maps. Dyson logos. Go to dysonlogos.blog. Go to maps. Click on all maps. 2 clicks away. 2 clicks to 1,000 maps. This link right here. 1 page has 1,000. Basically, probably 1,000 if you include sub maps. 1,000 maps. Just scroll down until you find the one that fits what you need, and then grab it and go. Maybe pick a few and then pick from the ones that work best. But Dyson is doing a hero's job, giving us Like, look at this one. This is one of my favorites. This guy, the Winter Tombs. They're so big. He has a VTT version. What's the difference between the VTT? Is that smaller? Oh, that's 1200 DPI 70. So we'll do the smaller one. Save the world some bandwidth. Look at that map, right? One great big map. Nice big map. You can do all the rooms in it. You know, this is a campaign. Imagine running like a campaign that's just this map, right? You could probably do it. Yeah, I backed Dyson just to support him on Patreon. I have a Patreon subscription to Dyson, and just because he's doing such great work getting these maps out to people, I feel he deserves the compensation. Yeah, I haven't seen Dyson on Twitch. I guess he just draws, right? I don't think he talks. I don't think he does much. But yeah, Dyson, bang. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. Who needs Return of Lazy Dungeon Master? Books. As my wife would say. I don't know. Some tosser wrote that. So that's the base of Clawrift, and that's where the fights are. That's where the fights are going to be. I sort of have like these discoveries and monsters. So if I want to throw some randomness in here, I have some ways of throwing some randomness in here. I don't have to, encounter wise, I can sort of wing it. And then this is that idea, like this is kind of a sort of a different way of thinking about encounters. I think a lot of DMs build encounters ahead of time. They have numbers of monsters and they pick like a group, sort of 4th edition style. I got 2 artillery and 4, 2 Cyclopses or 4 Cyclopes, and 2, let's see if I can do this so I shorten the mic. Because I want to lean back and chat. 4 Cyclopes and 2 Medusa mages, right? And they're like, I have this group and they're going to be standing on the bridge and here's where they're going to be located. And they're going to be this square, this square, this square, this square, and this square, and this square. And I don't build encounters that way. I say, here are the types of monsters that would be in this area, right? And maybe the numbers of them. There's going to be more trolls and ogres than there will be Cyclopes. There's going to be more Cyclopes than there would be Medusa mages, right? And so you kind of have this funnel of like, lots of these monsters, smaller amounts of these monsters, a few of these, and then very few of these. And then I then build the encounter on feeling. Like, have they had a rough go? Maybe they only face one troll, right? Maybe one troll is walking around with the Goblin Artificer, who's not really a combatant. And then they beat the troll. Like, you definitely want to have a lot of fights of lower power is fine. Like, we had a really fun fight against a single troll, right? These are 5 or 6 11th level characters, right? Facing one troll. And it was an awesome fight because of the circumstances. They were in a bathroom and his pants were around his ankles and his axe was against the wall. So he wasn't in a good position, literally. But it's still like, we got to beat this guy and make it quiet so that the rest of this place doesn't come down on us. So it was really interesting. It was a fun fight. Where the more tactical fights of like top, equal CR kind of stuff, they get kind of boring and long and tiresome. So you don't want a lot of those. Instead, a lot of little fights are good, right? And there's a lot of like, well, we don't want this place to come down on us with everything, so we got to be quiet. So situational fights are fun. And a lot of times I love just having like 2 guys walk around the corner and go, whoo, right? And then you surprise 2 guards, right? And grab them up, face a couple of ogres. And those fights are a lot of fun. And it gives characters a chance to really show what they do. And they love to just like one-shotting monsters are fun. And you don't care. I've got all the ogres in the universe if I want them. So, yeah. And then boss battles is when you kind of turn on the fire hose. A CR23 monster. I did a calculation. This is pretty funny, that in the Wednesday fight, in the final battle, and we'll see it when I start prepping the final battle, and probably in the next episode or episode after that. When I was calculating out the final battle, I knew that the deadly encounter threshold was 33. That the math told me that 33 challenge ratings worth of monsters is on the edge of deadly. And then I counted up all the monsters I planned on having in the encounter, and it was 111. And I'm like, okay, I'm more than 3 times higher. I'm almost 4 times higher, But the circumstances are kind of different. Like, yeah, I've got 4 Medusa mages, but 3 of them are busy, maintaining altars. They're not throwing lightning bolts around. Yeah, there's a CR23, Lord of the Slods that might show up. But if he shows up, you've already gotten a really bad spot, and your goal is not to fight him and beat him because he's going to kill you. Right. So there's there's a lot of these things, but it's like waves, and it's like they don't all come at once. And like Sora Metra, boy, she scared people. Like they're like, I do not want to get hit by her and that hammer. She hits for, what was it? I think it's 40 points of damage a hit or something like that. She hits really, really hard. So she can do Banishing Smite once a day. 21 bludgeoning and 27 force damage once a day. So I thought she hit harder. She fights with like a fire giant. Yeah, so she was doing 30 she was doing 30 damage a hit with her maul when it wasn't smited. And then she could add smiting. And boy, people were like, they were scared to death of her and that hammer. They were doing everything to get away from her and that hammer. So, yeah. So yeah, but 111. If the wizard has a staff of power, no, the wizard won't have a staff of power, but the bad guy has a staff of power, so she can use that. So yeah, so you build encounters based on the story first, and the deadly threshold is really just there to be like, just so I know what I'm doing, right? It's just a warning. It's a numeric warning. That's all it is. It's not encounter building. It's not a mathematical formula for building fun encounters. There is no such thing. Encounters come from the story. What should be in here, and how do I plan that out? So when you think about who are the groups that are wandering around Claw Rift, well, in the upper floors, it's mostly ogres and trolls. In the middle floor, there's probably a Medusa mage and a couple of cyclopes. They're wandering around. And also, by the way, you've got the Lord of Blades guys coming in. So first time I'm looking for D&D, and then I see that you use Notion. Yes, I do. Notion. I do use Notion. I love it. So yeah, that's the thought about encounter buildings, right? I really try to ascribe to this, like build encounters based on the story, and also you can base them on the feeling, right? Like if they've had a bunch of hard encounters, give them some easy ones, right? Use pacing, right? This is important of pacing, understanding pacing. Do not stick to what your plans are if they're going against the pacing and the feeling of the game. If it's getting boring and dry, throw it away. Right. And if it's too hard, go easy. It's you're in control of pacing. And so story and pacing are the drivers, right, of the game. Like, is the story, what would happen in the world is one question. And then what's fun is on the other side. And you're balancing these two continually. What you did before or what you planned are not in that equation, right? What you did before, what you planned were to help you get where you are. But now you're here, and now it's time to, look at the story, what should happen here, and what will be fun to have happen here. And those and usually lean towards the fun, right? Start with the story and then modify it based on fun until it's fun. And that I think that works pretty well. What else? Is there any other? I mean, I'm good, right? This is nice. This is a nice relaxing one for me because I know where they're going to start. They're starting a big fight. It's going to be scary. Then they have to have an opportunity to take a long rest because they're going to go through all of Claw Rift without it. So I think that, time to take a long rest. Yes, fun is the most important thing. But I'm not a big fan of whenever you ask DMs for advice and they say relax and have fun are like the two most common things. Neither of those are helpful, right? And it's because no one knows how to do either of those two. Like, what does that mean? What is fun, right? What? And so I try to go like a surface level deeper. And what's relaxing? Well, relaxing is feeling prepared. It's not being prepared, it's feeling prepared. So how do we feel prepared? Well, let's have a loose outline of things that we need to fill out in order to feel like we've got what we need on hand to do it. So that's relaxing for me. Like I tell you, I have the same anxiety that everyone else does. I have the same anxiety today when I was like, oh my God, I got to run a game at noon. Oh, what's that going to be like? And then I go through the steps with you guys and then I feel good, right? And I look at it and I ask a question, which I ask every time, which is how do I feel? And it's like, I feel good. I know where our game is going to start. I got a bunch of interesting scenes. I know where it's generally headed. I got a bunch of secrets and clues that they can discover, which are like revealing the story, which is always fun. My locations are well built out. I've got a good cast of NPCs. I got a bunch of piles of monsters ready to go. Some interesting treasure. I'm good, right? I feel good. My notes are good. So that's the relaxing part. Then the fun part, like, what does it mean to have fun? Well, it's hard. You got 6 people. I have 6 people in my group, so there's 7 of us, and it's important that we're all having fun. And like different people like fun in different ways. And some like crunchy tactical combat, and some like fun story things. Some like treasure. They all have different things that they like. So it's like, well, how do I drop those in there? And then it's like, well, also, and that's why I think it's far more useful to talk about pacing than it is to talk about what's fun, because pacing is fun, but we don't know about it. So that's where a book like Hamlet's Hit Points really helps, right? Like, if you're not familiar with it, it's probably my top 5. I think I wrote a Notion notebook. Let's go back to my Zettelkasten. Mike's nerdy ass Zettelkasten. Best books for DMing, right? Let's open this as a page. And in my top 5 are Complete Kobold Guide to Game Design. I think I have a credit in there. Hamlet, which is why I say Hamlet's Hit Points, which we're going to talk about. How to Write Adventures That Don't Suck. Monsters Know What They're Doing. And Dungeon World, right? Those are my top 5. If you want to read 5 books besides my own, you should read Sly Flare. You should read Return of the Dungeon Master. Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master first, of course. Outside of my own book, these 5 books I think are the ones that really give a good idea about how to do it. So the interesting thing, the Goodman Games one is actually there's a short PDF. It's free. I'll paste this in the notes. That the book was based on. Is this list on your site? No, but since you're here, I think it's shared. It is shared. So there you go. So there is an article by Goodman Games that it was based on. It was an outline for a Gen Con in 2007 by Joseph Goodman. And these are it's a bullet list of things. It's just a really nice 2-page thing of like how to make adventures that don't suck. It's written from the standpoint of writing adventures for publication, but it works for making adventures that are fun to play too. So I recommend this one a lot. And it's only 2 pages. The other one that's on that list, which I was just about to talk about, is Hamlet's Hit Points. And Hamlet's Hit Point, it was $8, totally worth it. But the bulk of Hamlet's Hit Points doesn't have a preview. That's a bummer. The bulk of Hamlet's Hit Points is really the concept of upward and downward beats. And you can summarize so Hamlet's Hit Points talks about lots of different drivers, but the important one is the one up front, which is upward and downward beats. And it's easy to remember. And the idea is that you want to oscillate between upward and downward beats. Good things, bad things, good things, bad things, good things, bad things. You don't want to have, all bad things and it's totally depressing. All good things and it's boring. So by switching between the two, you're in a dungeon, you're getting hit by specters, you're losing energy. You still have to go to a room. You know that the main boss is ahead. You're like, oh my God. Then you see a crack in a wall. You break through the wall. A healing fountain. Oh, and you can seal up the door so no one knows you're here. You can take a long rest. You can go to healing fountain. You can heal your store. Oh, thank God, right? I thought we were going to have to go in there, beat up. It's like, imagine those Final Fantasy dungeons from the old days. The Final Fantasy dungeons from the old days where you went through the dungeon and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then suddenly you see that little glowy star and you're like, oh, I can rest and save. Oh, thank God. Right. And it felt so good. If you play any of the Souls games, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Demon Souls or Bloodborne, right? If you, what's the other one? The Japanese one that's really good. You play any of those games. When you open a shortcut, it feels so good. You're like, I went through this whole big place, and then you open a door and you're like, oh, there's a bonfire. I remember there's one place, it's in Dark Souls 1. I just played the hell out of Dark Souls 1. And the undead, not the undead burg. It's the lowest, the Blight Town. There's a place called Blight Town. Yeah, Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. Really good. So Blight Town is this totally horrible place to go through. It's so boring. It's so vertical, and you can't see anything, and you get diseased. You get shot with toxic darts. It sucks. And then, there's somebody. Dark Abyss Keeper says, oh, Blight Town. And And boy, when you find the fire that's halfway down Blighttown, you're like, oh, thank you. And I remember I got there and I was like, I never have to go there again. Like, I am so happy that I never have to do that route again because it was such a pain. And then, of course, I played the game twice more, so I had to do it twice more. But there's actually a secret to get into Blighttown from a different direction, and it's way better, way easier. It's still kind of hard, but it's a much better path. That's through the Valley of the Drakes. Go through the Valley of the Drakes. So instead of going through Undeadburg. I think you need the master key to do that. So, yeah. So you want that pacing in your game, right? You want good things and bad things and good things and bad things. You want to have it. And a way to change the pacing is change the encounters. So if you have a really hard encounter, have some easy encounters. If they've had a bunch of encounters in a row, give them a little spot to take a rest or some nice thing, or have a fun NPC interaction where they run into like an old character that they hadn't run into. And they're like, what the hell are you doing down here? So it could be really fun. I don't know the frame perfect drop and roll. I'm unfamiliar with the frame perfect drop and roll. I'll have to go look that up on the YouTubes. So yeah, anyway, it's been an hour. We're good. Change your battles to fit the pacing of the game. Start with the story and then work towards other things. If I remember, I will add all this stuff in the show notes, the book recommendations and stuff. I'll keep that window open so I'll remember. I want to thank everybody for coming today. It is always a great pleasure of mine to hang out with you guys. Oh my God, 106 viewers? Man, I should pay more attention to what I'm saying. Thank you all for coming. It's a great pleasure to do this show every week, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something useful out of it. If you want to see more of these, you can go onto YouTube and see all of the views there. If you want to support the show and support other things I do, please go to patreon.com/Flourish. You can sign up. You get a bunch of free stuff. And we will be back next week, and we'll see how things go. So have a great week, and get out there and play some D&D.